Senior cartographer Zyth Bar of the Inquiry stood facing the Galactic Mapping Authority's central projection, his arms folded in a gesture of discontent. He examined the oddly blank area within the otherwise detailed star chart. The GMA took immense pride in having charted 97.3% of the known galaxy throughout its 3,000-year history. However, this particular region, a spiral arm segment spanning roughly 12,000 light-years, remained notably vacant, designated only as Restricted Zone, Human Territorial Space. Director Orurin, Zyth addressed his superior, a Valyrian elder whose nearly transparent skin showed the gentle rhythm of their three hearts. I've located 17 distinct mission logs from cartography vessels that have ventured near human territory in the past 50 cycles. None have come back with comprehensive data. Director Orurin's crystalline eyes focused. The humans assert territorial control. Cartographer Var, we honor their borders. With all due respect, Director, that deviates from GMA standard procedure. Even species claiming sovereignty usually allow for fundamental astrographic surveys. The Duraxians consented, despite their theological reservations. The Halton Collective insisted on supervision, but they granted permission. Only the humans have completely denied access. Orurin's skin deepened to a more pronounced blue, a Valyrian indicator of annoyance. The Galactic Council enacted unique provisions for Earth and its associated colonies. It is not within our purview to challenge them. But why? Zyth pressed, exhibiting the characteristic persistence of his species. 17 vessels, Director. Some simply vanished. Others came back with damaged data and failing systems. 3 returned with crews afflicted by inexplicable mental distress. Orurin turned his back. This discussion is terminated, cartographer. Yet Zyth could not dismiss the matter. Following his shift, he withdrew to his personal research lab, accessing historical records that were older than humanity's official introduction to the galactic community 200 years before. The records indicated that early exploration ships had once freely navigated the area now identified as human space. Several had charted magnificent worlds, abundant with resources. Then, around 300 years prior, something shifted. Vessels started to report navigational issues, sensor failures, and unsettling events. Subsequently, the humans emerged, a purportedly nascent species that somehow progressed from basic space travel to governing a substantial territory in under a century. You're fixated, Lennar, Zyth's research aide, commented as she entered his workspace. Her aven features showed worry, her feathered crest lifting slightly. The director will detect your unapproved access. Examine this. Zyth disregarded her caution, showing historical sensor data from the final successful mapping mission to traverse what was now human territory. These energy patterns do not align with any recognized cosmic events. And this, he emphasized a segment, gravitational anomalies that contravene established physics. Lar examined the data. Maybe that explains the region's restriction. Natural irregularities could create navigational risks. Then why not disclose that? Why the concealment? Zyth retrieved another file explaining, the human defensive network extends inward just as much as outward. They're enclosing something. Or safeguarding themselves from something, she proposed. Either scenario, the galaxy has a right to know. Zyth's resolve strengthened. I'm convening a team. It required 3 months to recruit the necessary experts. Krev Dorn, an exceptionally skilled propulsion engineer capable of altering their ship's signature to evade detection. Thea Sen, a synthropologist with expertise in developing civilizations. And Morovex, a security expert whose military experience would be crucial if they faced opposition. Along with Lennar and himself, they comprised a compact, yet proficient crew. Their ship, the Stellar Inquiry Asterisk, was formally assigned to chart an ordinary cluster 2 sectors distant from their true objective. Once beyond the range of monitoring stations, Krev initiated the modifications that would conceal their actual trajectory. Nearing the perimeter of human territorial space, Lennar communicated as the ship reduced speed. Passive sensors exclusively, as per our agreement. The view screen displayed only the usual, stars and the serene emptiness of space. No alert signals, no patrol ships, no indication whatsoever that they were entering a restricted area. This is unforeseen, Thalia remarked. Most species delineate their borders explicitly. Perhaps they depend on more nuanced detection techniques, Morrow proposed. His combat instincts heightened. They had journeyed no further than 2 light-years beyond the border when the initial irregularities manifested. The ship's instruments oscillated, gravity shifted, subtly, and the quantum positioning system registered illogical spatial readings. Something is interfering with our sensors, Krev stated, his scaled hands manipulating the engineering controls swiftly. It's as though space itself possesses altered characteristics here. Zyth experienced vindication and apprehension simultaneously. Can you adjust? In part, Krev answered. But these aren't conventional distortions. It resembles intentional disruption. They advanced with caution, recording all observations. On the 3rd day, they identified a human outpost, a compact monitoring station in orbit around an unremarkable moon. They maintained a significant distance, but not before Thea acquired thorough scans. Their technology is unusual, she noted. Certain aspects are remarkably sophisticated, possibly surpassing even Valyrian benchmarks, while others appear almost rudimentary. And there's an additional factor. She highlighted a portion of the station. These arrays aren't for communication or defense. They're gauging something. Space-time stability, Krev proposed after reviewing the data. They're observing the very structure of reality. As they ventured further, they encountered additional outposts, all equipped with analogous monitoring apparatus. The spatial irregularities grew more intense. Occasionally, stars appeared to momentarily vanish, and the ship's chronometers became desynchronized by microseconds, a supposedly impossible occurrence. On the 5th day, they detected encoded communications between human ships. Lennar succeeded in deciphering portions. Boundary stability at 94%, Sector 12 exhibiting weakening, initiate Anchor Team Alpha. What are they securing? Morrow questioned aloud. They shortly encountered their initial human patrol vessel, an elegant craft that materialized unexpectedly from behind a small asteroid. The crew grew tense, but the human ship merely altered its course to sustain distance, making no aggressive actions, yet clearly monitoring them. They're aware of our presence, Morrow declared plainly. Let's initiate communication, Zyth determined. We sought answers. Direct dialogue might be our optimal approach. To their astonishment, the humans replied promptly to their communication. The view screen showed a human female, her expression composed but vigilant. Unidentified ship, you have intruded into restricted space. Declare your objective. Zealith moved forward. I am Senior Cartographer Zythvar of the Galactic Mapping Authority. We are undertaking a routine astrographic examination. The human's expression remained unchanged. The GMA is cognizant that Earth territorial space is excluded from standard mapping protocols under Galactic Council Accord 47B. We endeavor to comprehend why, Zealith answered truthfully. 17 GMA ships have been lost or impaired near your territory. The spatial distortions we've observed could present hazards to navigation across this entire sector. Something flickered within the human's eyes. Recognition, potentially. Relay your vessel's specifications and crew roster. You will maintain position while we assess your inquiry. Following the transmission, Philia addressed Zyth. She wasn't taken aback. They anticipated someone would eventually investigate. Hours afterward, they obtained coordinates for a meeting at a modest human outpost. Despite Morrow's security apprehensions, Zelith consented. They required answers. The human station was practical, lacking the decorative elements typical of most species installations. They were greeted by 3 humans, the woman from the communication, and 2 others who remained quiet. I am Commander Sarah Chen, Earth Containment Division, she introduced herself. Your presence here is problematic, yet may be unavoidable. Containment Division? Zyth inquired. What are you confining, Commander? Chen scrutinized them thoroughly before responding. What is your understanding of multiversal theory, cartographer? The inquiry took Zealith by surprise. It's theoretical physics, multiple planes of existence, potentially coexisting alongside our own. Not theoretical, Chen refuted. Factual. 3 centuries ago, humanity ascertained that the boundaries separating universes are not consistently stable. In certain areas, they are perilously weak. You're implying interdimensional breaches? Krev interjected, his scientific intellect instantly comprehending the ramifications. Chen confirmed. In this spiral arm, the barrier between our universe and others has been compromised for eons. When humanity initially achieved faster-than-light travel, we discovered the damage. And what was penetrating? Penetrating. Lar echoed, her feathers flattening in consternation. Reality is subjective, cartographer, Chen stated somberly. What transpires in neighboring universes does not inevitably adhere to our physics, our biology, or our understanding. The entities that endeavor to traverse. She hesitated. They are incompatible with our existence. Their mere presence deteriorates local space-time. You're containing interdimensional entities. Zealith grasped the situation, the components falling into place. That explains your refusal to allow mapping. You're concealing breaches. We're safeguarding the galaxy, Chen rectified. Your mapping ships vanished or returned impaired because they encountered weak points or partial manifestations. Your sensors are not equipped to handle such phenomena in a secure manner. Why maintain this secrecy? Faya inquired. The Galactic Council could furnish resources, assistance. Panic, Chen interjected. Widespread hysteria, religious uprisings, and, frankly, most species are deficient in the psychological framework to process the reality of what transpires beyond the barrier. Humans possess an advantage. Our cultural evolution encompassed millennia of folklore concerning eldritch horrors and cosmic abominations. We were psychologically prepared to acknowledge the incomprehensible. As if on cue, alarms resonated throughout the station. Chen's communication device activated. Commander, weak point materializing in Sector 14. Class 3 breach impending. Chen's expression solidified. You desired answers, cartographer. Now you shall witness them directly. The revelation. The human transport ship moved with astonishing velocity. Chen and her team, functioning with practiced efficiency, guided the *Stellar Inquiry crew toward what they termed a containment event. The aliens observed with captivation as the humans donned specialized equipment, not conventional spacesuits, but something considerably more intricate with luminous circuitry interwoven throughout the material. Reality stabilization apparatus, Chen elucidated as she secured her helmet. It shields us from cognitive distortion and temporal displacement. Through the transport's viewports, Zeal observed numerous human ships assembling at the same coordinates. The spatial distortions were now perceptible even to the unaided eye, light twisting unnaturally, stars appearing to smear across the darkness. What precisely occurs during a breach? Krev inquired, his scientific inquisitiveness surpassing his escalating apprehension. Chen's voice transmitted through their communication system. The barrier between universes ruptures. Something endeavors to penetrate. Something that does not belong in our reality. Our task is to strengthen the boundary and repel it before it fully materializes. You make it sound commonplace, Morrow remarked. For us it is, one of Chen's colleagues responded. Earth containment manages approximately 700 incursions yearly, ranging from insignificant leakages to potential extinction-level occurrences. The transport decelerated as they neared the breach site. What Zeleth observed defied understanding. A contorting distortion in space, approximately 5 kilometers in diameter. It was not merely a visual anomaly. It appeared to extend beyond conventional perception, as if portions of it existed in dimensions he could not fully process. Colors that possessed no designation twisted through the void, and geometries that should not be feasible distorted the adjacent starfield. By the ancient stars, Lennar murmured, her scientific composure disintegrating. What is that? We do not name them, Chen stated softly. Names bestow form, boundaries. These entities defy definition by their very essence. The human ships established a precise formation surrounding the distortion, deploying what Chen designated as reality anchors, massive devices that somehow strengthened the local laws of physics. Engineers in specialized craft moved nearer, manipulating energy fields that interconnected the anchors into a containment network. "The breach is stabilizing," announced one of the human technicians. "Dimensional pressure diminishing." Zeeth observed in amazement as the distortion gradually contracted, the impossible colors and geometries fading as the human technology imposed our reality's regulations upon the intruding otherness. For a fleeting moment, he believed he glimpsed something within the anomaly. A colossal form composed of angles that could not exist, surfaces that appeared simultaneously solid and permeable, appendages that moved through multiple dimensions concurrently. Then it vanished. The breach sealed. The human teams commenced retrieving their equipment with the effectiveness of prolonged practice. 700 of these annually, Thea reiterated, dumbfounded. How long has humanity been undertaking this? Since before we joined the galactic community, Chen answered. When we initially developed FTL technology, we discovered the breaches were already transpiring. Our initial colonies encountered them inadvertently with devastating consequences. She directed them to a secure observation chamber aboard her command ship, where she accessed historical documents. Zeith and his crew observed in horror as footage depicted early human settlements being engulfed by spatial anomalies, buildings contorting into impossible configurations, colonists transfigured in manners that contravened biology, physics, and sanity. We lost 8 colonies before we comprehended what was occurring, Chen elucidated. 17 million individuals. The survivors? Many opted for voluntary euthanasia rather than endure what they had experienced and witnessed. But you devised countermeasures, Krebs observed. Chen affirmed. Necessity propelled innovation. We learned to detect weak points prior to their breaching. We developed technology to reinforce reality itself. And we established buffer zones, abandoned territories where we can confine incursions without endangering populated worlds. The entire restricted zone, Zeith began, is one colossal containment system, Chen corroborated. The breaches are not haphazard. They are concentrated in this spiral arm. We do not know the reason. Perhaps an ancient cataclysm impaired the universal barrier here? Perhaps it is merely a natural weak point in the multiverse. And you've maintained this secret from the galaxy, Morrow stated, his tone oscillating between accusation and admiration. We attempted to explain initially. Chen's expression darkened. The Galactic Council representatives who observed a breach endured profound psychological trauma. 3 species proclaimed holy wars against us, believing we were instigating the incursions. 2 others endeavored to weaponize the breaches. She sighed. Ultimately, we reached an understanding. The highest echelons of the Council acknowledged our containment mission and bestowed upon us autonomous jurisdiction over this region. In exchange, we sustain the barriers that shield every sentient being in this galaxy from horrors they cannot fathom. The mapping ships, Lars suddenly comprehended, they weren't merely safeguarding secrets. They were safeguarding us. Your instruments would have detected the anomalies but lacked the filters to process them safely, Chen affirmed. At best, you would have had corrupted data. At worst, Zeith completed the thought, a shiver coursing through him. The crews would have been subjected to direct contact with these entities. In the ensuing days, Chen's team furnished a meticulously curated education on humanity's containment protocols. They visited monitoring stations, observed minor incursions being managed, and toured what the humans designated as anchor facilities, massive structures that perpetually reinforce the fabric of reality throughout human space. The magnitude of the operation was astonishing. Nearly 60% of humanity's resources were allocated to containment. Trillions of humans served in the containment division. Entire planets existed solely to manufacture the specialized technology required. Your species has relinquished much, Philly observed during their concluding meeting with Commander Chen. We deem it our obligation, Chen responded plainly. We were in the correct location at the correct time to discover the breaches prior to their becoming unmanageable. Had we not been here... She did not need to complete the sentence. The evidence implied that, absent human intervention, the breaches would have expanded exponentially, ultimately engulfing the entire galaxy. As they prepared to depart, Zyth confronted a challenging dilemma. What will you do with us, Commander? We have witnessed everything, the secret you have maintained for centuries. Chen smiled subtly. That is your prerogative, cartographer. You came pursuing truth, and we have revealed it to you. Now you must determine what to do with that knowledge. The crew of the Stellar Inquiry deliberated for hours following their departure from human space. The truth was concurrently terrifying and awe-inspiring. Humanity, a species deemed relatively new to the galactic community, had been silently bearing an unfathomable burden, shielding existence itself from incomprehensible horrors. Upon their eventual return to Galactic Mapping Authority headquarters, Director Orin awaited, his ancient features betraying no astonishment at their unauthorized expedition. You were aware, Zealith accused. The Council was aware. A select few, Orin conceded. Those with the necessity to know and the capability to comprehend without fracturing. The humans bear their burden with exceptional resilience. Could you ask the rest of the galaxy to share the psychological weight of that knowledge? Zyth pondered all he had observed. The breaches that defied comprehension, the entities that should not exist, the colossal containment infrastructure humanity sustained at tremendous cost to themselves. No, he ultimately conceded, but I propose a compromise. 1 month later, the official galactic maps were revised. Human territorial space remained restricted, but with a novel designation: Protected Zone, Spatial Anomaly Containment Region, Navigation Hazard, Human Oversight Authority. No specifics were furnished regarding the precise nature of the anomalies. No mention was made of breaches between universes or entities from beyond reality. But the designation acknowledged humanity's function and the genuine peril to ships that might enter unprepared. As Zeth examined the updated map, Leonard joined him. Do you believe it suffices? It's veracity without terror, Zeth answered, acknowledgement without exposure. The galaxy now comprehends there is peril there and that humans are containing it. And maybe someday, Lar proposed, when more species are prepared to understand, the complete truth can be divulged. Zelith nodded reflectively. Until then, we honor humanity's sacrifice by honoring their boundaries, both territorial and informational. In the immensity of space along the peripheries of human territory, reality anchors sustained their perpetual vigilance, maintained by a species that had assumed a burden they never sought but unflinchingly accepted, preserving the universe as we know it from horrors we cannot fathom. And that, conceivably, was the most human characteristic of all.